Well, howdy, folks. Oh, 52 people here already, and we got... Was that a €5 donation from Victor? Hello, ToT. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Oh. This... I want to say this is going to be nice, this is going to be fun, but quite frankly... this is going to be an absolutely abysmal stream. This is going to be completely unhinged. I usually start these out by saying, this is going to be a chill stream. This is going to be a cool stream. No. This is going to be an absolutely unhinged stream. I've got the funny orange juice here with me, which... Oh, I've mixed that quite strong. I've got the funny orange juice here with me. It's Valentine's Day, and I'm single and alone, so that's adding to the unhinged nature. And the nature of this stream... The nature of this stream is going to be, as you can see in the title, drive, own, or scrap. And I encourage you at home to make your own Venn diagram, because tonight we're going to look at different pictures of trains, specifically different locomotives, and we ask the question: drive, own, or scrap? Now, if you're familiar with the old school playground game, well, I won't call it a playground game, the social game, I guess, of Shag, Marry, Kill, that's kind of what we're doing here tonight. Which is drive, own, or scrap. And I'm going to be taking suggestions from chat. If you were to go into the Train of Thought Discord in Stream Highlights, I've started a thread where you can post pictures or post different locomotives, and we will together rate them. USS Salem's asking, Train of Thought, before we start, I want to ask, do you think it would be possible when we eventually master space travel to take our steam locomotives to Mars? I think it'd be possible, but the amount of resources it would take would be... It would be insane. I think it'd definitely be a small engine. It'd either be a tank engine or something very narrow gauge. I don't know. It'd probably be something off like the Romney Hythe in Dymchurch or the... just something real narrow gauge. Also, I think someone else asked, Train of Thought, you're only doing this because your boyfriend/girlfriend left you. First of all, thank you for being so inclusive, saying boyfriend/girlfriend. I personally prefer women, but I appreciate that you had the forethought to say boyfriend/girlfriend. Second of all, ha! No, I've been single for a long time. I've been single well before I started this YouTube channel. And I have... Yeah. I have every second of it. So... Oh dear. Are you okay, ToT? I think the answer has always been no. I don't think there's ever been a situation in which I've ever said I'm okay. Cause, especially on stream, because these streams usually go down the toilet very quickly. Most based streamer on YouTube, after all. Yeah. Hey ToT, what's your opinion on the Southern Pacific GS1s? Do you think it's weird that it's like a streamlined GS2, or do you think it's a decent locomotive? No opinion on the Southern Pacifics. Are you referring to the British Southern Pacifics or the American Southern Pacifics? Because again, I generally have no idea about either of them. Hold on, my internet's being goofy. So I don't know what it is. For some reason, I've got a power line adapter. That's how I get my internet. I've got an Ethernet cable plugged into the power socket thing, and that's how I get my internet. For whatever reason, my power line adapters have just been... I don't know, their connection's not been great recently. I don't know. I might have to invest in some new ones anyway, because we got better internet in the house, and I need a longer Ethernet cable as well. New power line adapters, but that's going to cost money. Should I start doing that thing that some streamers do where they just open up, like, just publish an Amazon wish list and just say, hey, if you want to contribute to the channel, just buy something off this wish list? That'd be helpful. Have you ever heard of the Railroad Museum Ding Dong Ditch incident? I have not. But if you think it would make a fascinating idea for a video, by all means post it in the Train of Thought Discord channel. And I will get back to you on that one. When I have the money, I will gladly get something off the list. Aw, thank you, Victor. Jordan C. Productions, $1.49 hot dog. That's not a donation. That's just you typing $1.49 and an emoji of a hot dog. Oh dear. Basically, the BNSF Ding Dong ditched a steam locomotive to a narrow gauge railway museum, a small 484. Oh. So they just dumped an engine at a narrow gauge museum and didn't tell anyone. That's crazy. What's your opinion on the Missouri Pacifics? Hold on, is the railroad called Missouri Pacific, or you're referring to the Missouri Railroad's Pacific locomotives? Because that's very those are two very different things. Well, they're the same thing, but what do you mean? Yes. It is Missouri Pacific. Okay. Because the wheel arrangement 462 is a Pacific arrangement. It's... I need another drink of this. This is going to be a long stream. Oh. Flying Scotsman, aka Bankrupt Simulator. Also, Victor, thank you for the €1.49. D-Man left $20 earlier. I guess D-Man can't make it to the stream tonight, so he just dropped $20 and is at work, which... that was awful nice of him. Ever think a video on the Rexall train would be viable? The $1 Million Farmers Train. I do want to do a video on it. It's one of those things, I started looking at the Rexall train, thinking, yeah, that'll be a simple this week's video. And then I just kept finding more and more stuff about it, and like... I got details on like the carriages, like where the Pullman carriages that were used, and like each carriage had a specific use. And I thought, okay, this script is going to be super long. Well, Amtrak guy already did a video on it. That's another reason why I'm hesitant to do it as well, because I saw people give me recommendations for videos, and I think, yeah, I'll do a video on this. And then I start doing research on the subject, and I find Amtrak guy's done a video on it, or Heis has done a video on it, or some other YouTuber's done a video on it. And it, especially if it's come out within the last 12 months, I'm very hesitant to do a video on it. And I'm especially hesitant to watch their video as well, because as much as I want to cover the subject because it seems interesting, there's also part of me that's like, well, they've already done a video on it. And Amtrak guy especially puts a lot of work into his videos. Like, he sources a lot of the footage. He like has this nice editing style. He's really creative with the music. You know, and so I feel like if I do a video on the Rexall train, I have to put more information in than he has, to an extent. Or I have to give people something a bit more than what they've already got from his video. Because otherwise it just feels, I don't know, not like stealing content, but it's like he's already done a video on the subject and he's done it better than me. Like, don't get, part of my rationale is people might just prefer my voice and want to hear me narrate it and just prefer the simple visuals that I provide. But I feel like if someone else has already covered the same story, if they've already provided a lot of information and they've generally done a better job than I can do, then it kind of feels empty for me to do a video on the same subject. You know. I still do want to do a video on it, and if I can find a sponsor, it might be one of my longer sponsored videos. Generally speaking, yeah, no, I'll, that's just my sort of view on it. I remember it was when I did the video on the War Department 280s. Yeah, I did a video on the War Department 280s, and what it was is I'd finally managed to get that video done a week in advance. Like, I can't remember if it was Christmas was coming up or something was coming up. And I was like, right, I'll try and crack out some videos, and I got one video done, and then I was like, okay, I'll do a video on the War Department, the austerity engines. Because you know, they're worth doing a video on. And so I finally made that video, and the video and that was going to go out a week later. Friday rolls around, the video for that week comes out, and I look, and someone else had done a video on the War Department 280 austerity engines, and I was there gripping my hair like, no, I don't want it to look like I've just copied their homework. Oh God. And so I was like, well, what do I do? I've got the video done, and I thought, okay, I'll just suck it up, and when the video comes out, I'll just put in the comments, hey, I had this video done before they put their video out, and it's just a coincidence. And so that was that week, and so I was really trying to tread on eggshells for a moment there. Because I was like, I don't copy other people's stuff. I don't want to be that person that just copies someone else's stuff. I like researching things. And then recently, it was when I did the Duke of Gloucester video, it was as I was uploading the video onto YouTube, I thought, I know, I'll look on YouTube, see if there are any other videos of the Duke of Gloucester, and just... because I couldn't think of a good title for the video. I'll look up any other YouTube videos on the Duke of Gloucester, and I'll see if what they put out. And I looked it up, and it was uploaded 1 day ago. The Duke of Gloucester. Oh, God! So... coincidences happen. Coincidences happen. I don't know how I got onto this segment, but yeah, the Rexall train. Someone else asked, do you recommend any other train YouTubers? Chris Eden Green. Like, he's one of the guys that inspired me to get into YouTube in the first place. Or especially trains, at least. Amtrak guy, I do love his stuff because he puts in a lot of effort in his videos. I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the guy. It's R McSomething. R McSomething. I can't remember. Ooh! Gojira's Trains. $19.99. To the Train of Thought Internet Fund. Save him from dial-up in 2025. I love your content either way. If you scrap NYC Hudson in this stream, you'll find a water pistol. Your video, I'll find you, water pistol. Your videos are ASMR while I work on my 3 rail scale layouts. Thank you. I love that. Rudick McVeigh. That's it. Or Ruder McVeigh. Oh, God, it took me way too many attempts to say that. That's the chap I'm on about. They do some brilliant videos on trains, and I think they do planes and cars as well. But yeah, no. They do a lot of good content, so... Also, don't ask me... Oh, I guess you can ask me, but... Due to circumstances I'm not going to bother elaborating on, I have come into the possession of several boxes of train DVDs. And I've not got them yet, but I've been told it's a lot. And so... what kind of train DVDs? I don't know. It's a friend of a friend. It's a family member of a friend who knew I was into trains, and they said, hey, you can have all of these DVDs. Probably rail fanning footage and documentaries. It probably is. Train of Thought reviewing train DVD series question mark. I could. I guess I could. God, would that be... That would really be a niche, wouldn't it? Like, when you think about it, there's people who review movies on YouTube, there are people who talk about trains on YouTube, and then there's the halfway point where there's train movies or train DVDs where it's just stock or historical footage of trains working. And then there's like an even niche subject where it's me reviewing the stock footage of trains. That is a hell of a rabbit hole, isn't it? That not only is it niche, it is niche squared. But it might be worth it. I've got a bunch of train DVDs already. Has anyone seen Extreme Trains by the History Channel? Because it was, years ago, a friend of my grandparents passed away, and I was little at the time, and because I was little and I was into trains, he had a bunch of these he had a bunch of DVDs of a TV series, I think, called Extreme Trains, done by the History Channel. I've not watched any of them yet. I've had those DVDs for years, and I've not watched any of them. But I do plan on watching them at some point. But I distinctly remember, I think it's while I was researching the Stania 8Fs and how they went around the world during the Second World War, I distinctly remember I came across a documentary, and I think it was Mega Movers. I think that was on the History Channel as well. I found that documentary and I watched it because there was an episode where they were it was the people that had found the two of the Stania 8Fs in Turkey, and they were moving them back to the UK. One of them to be restored to working order, and the other one, I think, cosmetically got restored and either sent back to Turkey or I think it was sent to Israel. I can't remember. It was one of the... I mentioned it in the video, I think. But I remember watching that, and it was such a typical American documentary, because there's a moment where I think, because these engines are old, one of the pieces of white metal fell out of the bearing on one of the engine's axles. And obviously, for safety reasons, they had to find this piece of white metal and put it back in place. Otherwise, the engine's too dangerous to move because it might derail or the axle bearing will overheat or something like that. And because it's a documentary, they have a little graphic of the train being pulled along and whatnot. And it's such a vivid memory because it's such an American documentary as well, because they make such extreme examples out of something so mundane. You just hear this American narrator go, they need the wide metal as part of the bearing. If they don't have this wide metal in the bearing, it could cause the wheels to shake. And shaking wheels could lead to derailments. And then you just get this like little animated graphic of the train just leaping off the tracks. Like, it goes on its side, the tender's on its side, several wagons behind it are zigzagging off the rails. And the worst part is, the train wasn't even going that fast. It was moving at a snail's pace in this animation, but it just hurls itself off the tracks. My God, American documentaries just have this beautiful way. I don't know what it is. They just have this beautiful way of being so over the top. Wait, I missed something. What are we talking about? An episode of... Is it Mega Movers or Monster Movers? You got an ad? I don't remember turning ads on for this stream. I never turn ads on for this stream. Has YouTube turned ads on for my stream? Yeah, insert mid-roll ads manually. Yeah, no, I've got it turned off. I usually have it so I have to manually put ads in. What the hell is YouTube doing? Oh, by the way, ToT, when's the Why Looks Max When You Can Climax merch line dropping? You know what? I do need to make that shirt. I need to get art made for that. And I need to find someone who prints shirts. I guess I could... What's that website that prints shirts for you? There's a website where you can just upload art, and if someone wants to buy the art on a shirt, they pay for it, the website takes a cut, and you take a cut. But that feels kind of cheap. Not gonna lie, I'd get a ToT mug. The thing is with merch, if I make merch, I want it to be something good. I don't want it to just be like a cheap shirt made in China with my logo printed on it, and if you tumble dry it, it starts flaking off. I want it to be good quality. Like, if you get a mug, I want it to be like one of those massive 22 ounces Sports Direct mugs. I want to know you're getting your money out of just the product alone. Or it's like, I want to commission artists if I have, you know, the Looks Max When You Can Climax shirts, because, you know, I could just slap my logo on a shirt and sell it, but I feel like, I don't know. Do you guys know, what's the name of it? Is it Cold Ones? Max Mofo, his podcast he has with his mate, or his show he has with his mate, where they drink beer and stuff. If you've seen their merch, it has little to do with their actual show, and it's just them paying artists to make cool designs. And you buy it because you don't care that it's to do with their show. They're just cool shirts. And that's kind of how I want to make my merch if I ever do it. Because as much as I could just slap the Train of Thought logo on a mug or slap the wheel on a shirt, I want it to be worth buying as a product on its own. Like, yeah, there'll be a line of shirts that just have my logo on it or just the wheel or whatever. But, like, at the same time, it's nice to just have something on a shirt people can look at and go, oh, that's cool. Right. Oh, people keep asking me questions. We're not here to do that. This is Valentine's Day. We're here for drive, own, or scrap. So I'm going to ignore any further questions, and here we are. I'm going to start drive, own, or scrap. So people are already posting in stream highlights. So, hold on. So someone's showing an episode from, I think it's the TV series I was on about earlier, and they were moving the I think it was Dwight D. Eisenhower the LNER A4 Pacific locomotive. They were trying to move it either in or out of the museum, and it's just a gif of the engine crashing into a structural support and bringing the roof down. Like, it's such... I've been over this. American documentaries are wild. Okay, so I'm already looking in stream highlights. Let's see. So we'll start with an old favorite, something everyone recognizes. Pat. Here we are. First of all, let's see what's chat feeling about this. Is this drive, own, or scrap? My general consensus of the ranking of this is drive is shag, own is marry, kill is scrap. So drive is, it would be fun to drive, but actually owning it and maintaining it would be a pain. I just want to have a go at driving it, and that's it. Own is, this is something I would preserve, not necessarily drive, but I'd like to keep it around and have it as my own. And scrap is just, I can't be bothered with it, get rid of it. And this is a Venn diagram, so there are some engines you'd want to keep for yourself, but you'd also want to drive from time to time. I'd love to have a go at driving it, but I also don't think it should exist, which is drive and scrap. And then there's scrap and own, which is kind of the friend zone, I guess. How are we feeling? We've got people saying drive, we've got some people saying own. A couple of people said scrap to begin with, which is interesting. Sarah Hendricks says, I own him. I mean, if you do own him, please share, because I'd love to see this engine again, moving on its own steam. A quick bit of history on this engine. It's an Irish engine. Vertical boiler. Its frames are made out of an old tender. It was used at a coal plant to shunt around trucks. I don't know if... I think we'll start. This will be the first engine. I think this will be the first engine I put in the own category. Because I think driving it would be awkward, and as cute as it would be to see it running, I think I'd put it in own, and it'll just be like a one-off engine that we've preserved. I don't think it needs to run. I think owning Pat would be fine. Okay. Next, we've got the Lady Baltimore and Lord Baltimore. These are two very different engines. I'll pick... I'm just going to ask if you can only post one engine at a time. Don't post two engines at once, because that confuses things. I don't... We'll go with Lady Baltimore. That was the first picture posted. So we'll do this engine. Lady Baltimore. What are we thinking for this? Scrap, own, or drive? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure I'd want to own this engine. Like, it's interesting to look at, don't get me wrong, but its firebox is really big. And it's a 444. I don't know much about this engine specifically, but I don't feel strongly about owning it. I don't feel strongly about driving it. I think this might be... I think this might be the first one that goes into the scrap category. Which, I mean, no offense to who posted this, but it's a 444. It's got a massive firebox. It's a 444. It's not going to have much power. It might be quick, but it's not going to be strong. It doesn't exactly look great. It's not a looker. I see that engine and I think, it looks a bit off. It doesn't look right to me. So I'm putting it in scrap. I personally wouldn't. I just wouldn't. Sorry, chat's disagreeing, but I'm disagreeing with chat. I just wouldn't. There's this Romanian narrow gauge locomotive. From Mocanita. That's probably pronounced very differently, and I'm sorry for butchering the pronunciation of that. If anyone can tell me how to correctly pronounce it in chat, by all means. But it's this narrow gauge engine here. I can't see the wheelbase, but I think it might be an either an 060 or an 080 engine. It looks fairly reliable. I don't think it'd be thrilling to drive this engine, but I definitely want to own it. Like, if you said, hey, you can adopt this engine, or here's 100 grand, do you want to buy the engine? I think I could buy it. It looks fairly reliable to drive as well. Again, my general consensus is that driving just means get on the footplate and go, have a blast. Owning, it could either be static or it could still be working, but it's not thrilling, it's just nice that it exists. So I think this might also go in the own category. Just as an engine that's nice to have. Okay, next up on the docket, the Union Pacific 9000 412-2. 12 connected driving wheels. 12 connected driving wheels. That is... Chat, this is a beast. Like, look at this thing. It's a beast. This is a good question. Have any of these been preserved? Train of thought, it's useless on any terrain that isn't arrow straight. No, I can see that. Because, like, any more than 10 consecutive driving wheels, you need a Mallet design. I think we can agree on that. Because, like, 12, it's too many wheels in a row. Unless this is, like, specifically built as a banking engine. Or built for a specific stretch of line that's fairly straight. I don't think I could trust this on a bend. I'd say drive. It would be a pain to keep in operation. True. I bet it'd feel good to drive, but actually, I'm not sure it would feel good to drive. I don't know. I think this might be another engine for scrap, you know. Own maybe as static. Even then, owning is kind of more, it's a pretty engine. It's something that will be fine moving or static. I don't know. I don't know, chat. No, everything deserves a chance at life. Listen, the ruling here... Okay, I'm going to say this now for everyone watching. It's a blanket rule that, yes, under ideal circumstances, all of these engines would be preserved. When I put an engine in the scrap pile, that's not me saying, I want it gone, I hate it, get rid of it. That's just me saying, I don't care for it. I'd love it if it was preserved, don't get me wrong, but I just don't care for it. I think I might put this in scrap. I don't know, it just doesn't appeal. If you want something with great big power, you'd have a Yellowstone or a Big Boy or something like that. A 412.2 just seems bleh. Okay, people are posting in stream highlights. I specifically made a thread called Pics Here, so that's where I'm going to be taking the pictures from. If you're posting in stream highlights, then no. Let's see. Never said it couldn't be a model. I said it could. Well, I said it now. It can't be a model. Ooh, the first diesel on the list. Oh wow, that's a big picture. Let's zoom in for a second here and just take a look at this. So we've got a diesel. What are we feeling? What are we feeling on the diesel? Because I'm a very Steam-centric man. This channel's very Steam-centric. It's rare I dip my toes into diesels. But it's a class 40. A lot of people are saying own, a lot of people are saying drive. I can get behind the people that drive. I reckon... No, I kind of get it. Like this engine, or well, any class 40 really, on a slight grade with a bit of thrash, just feeling it like hum, and hearing the roar of the engine as you just belt it up a grade, I reckon this would be a nice engine to drive. I don't think I'd want to own one. I definitely prefer to own a steam engine. But I reckon I'd drive this. I think this might be the first engine going on a drive. This might be... Yeah, this... You know what? It's a first chat. Train of thought likes a diesel. And it can go in drive. As I can bang on about steam engines having more character and being better and this, that and the other, but it's a class 40. Like they're just sturdy engines. They're still working hard to this day. You know, I can't argue with a class 40. Here we go. South African Railways Class 24 Berkshire. And it's got a name as well. That's already endearing. Here we go. So, it's Jenny. What are we feeling, folks? This is a 284 design. It's a Berkshire. It's South African, so it's Cape gauge, so it's a narrow gauge engine. Makes her a little easier to handle. I reckon should be good fun to drive. I think it'd be a nice engine to own as well. Because it's narrow gauge, so it doesn't take up too much space. And it's a proper steamer, and it genuinely, I think this would be good to drive. It would be good to own, and it would be good to drive. I don't know what it is about like South African engines or like Australian or New Zealand engines. A lot of colonial engines, I guess. But there's this unique charm to them. Like, American engines tend to be quite brutish. There's an awful lot of pipes on the outside of them. They're very much built for function and for purpose over pristine and beauty. They're very much built for purpose. They are simple. Anything you need access to, you have access to them. British engines, on the other hand, or various European engines, tend to be more elegant and refined in design. Like, as much as they are for freight work and industrial use, there's also a certain simplicity and a certain beauty to them. There aren't like pipes everywhere. They're designed to look neat and tidy. Australian, New Zealand, South African, Indian, a lot of colonial engines tend to have the sort of base of a European design. This, you know, neat, tidy, refined, plain, but elegant. And then cow catchers, knuckle couplers, pipes everywhere. There's this sort of middle ground where there's an elegance to them, but a practical nature as well. And I think it's a mix of beauty and practicality here. I'm gonna have... It looks good enough to maintain, but also I'd love to be behind the footplate on it. I think it's going to have to go into the halfway point between own and drive. I'd love to own it, but I'd love to drive it as well. Next up... This is... this is... What is this? What is this? It says courage on this thing here. I don't know if that's the name of the service or if that's the name of the engine. But I love this. I love this so much. All this is, looking at it, this is just a frame with a petrol engine mounted to it. That's all it is. Like, it's got this bodywork over the engine to protect it from the elements and this, that, and the other, but if you to take this bodywork off, it's just a petrol engine, or a diesel engine, I guess, on a frame. And, like, the open cab as well. It's got so much character. I love it. Like, I can see this sputtering down a railway line. I can see this in an episode of Ivor the Engine, you know? I can see this in, like, a Titfield Thunderbolt-esque comedy where someone just says, right, I'll get the engine, and they just walk down into a siding, open a tatty old shed, they grab a crank, and they have to, like, you know how, like, you have to hand crank old cars to start it? You have to, like, swing a crank at the front, and there's a risk of it actually breaking your wrist. You know, you swing the crank at the front, it sputters to life, and off it goes. You know, it's very... I don't know. It's like when you see a coffee pot engine, or it's like when you see someone who's modified a stationary engine to work on a locomotive. Have you ever seen those videos of people that build rail speeders? They'll get like an old lawnmower engine and they'll weld together a frame, they'll find some cheap locomotive wheels, and they'll find an abandoned railroad in like the middle of California or Arizona, and they'll just ride along it for like a couple of miles. It's like when someone makes a steam version of one of those, there's a very sort of, I can build that level of charm to it. I feel like I could build this. If you gave me the tools and the training to like... If you gave me the tools and the training to weld and rivet, and the materials, I feel like me and my brother could throw this together and have it running in a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? I love this. I absolutely love this. Sorry, I don't mean to ignore the donations. Joey the Cat, Rusty's Hunslet cousin Dusty, and we've got the air horn makes it pee. I just noticed that. I just noticed. That's an air horn. It doesn't even have its own horn. They have an air horn. It's zip tied to the. It's zip tied. It's zip tied to the frames. Oh my god, this is the most redneck slapped together locomotive I've ever seen. I love it. Have you guys ever watched Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines? If you've not, it's a brilliant movie. I love it. It's like classic 60s comedy. There's a lot of like European stereotypes in it, played by a lot of European actors. But whenever I watch that movie, there's... Looking at the planes in that movie, how it's just a big petrol engine at the front and a wooden frame with like the fabric stretched over to make it aerodynamic. I watched Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, and I feel like I could build one of the planes used in those movies. I feel like I could build one of those planes. I feel like I could build one of these engines. I feel like I could build this. I want to own this, but I want to drive it, so I think this is going in the halfway point between owning and driving. I absolutely love this engine. I hope whoever owns it puts it up for sale so I can buy it. I can paint it blue and it can be the official Train of Thought locomotive. And now I think about it, actually, I've been thinking a lot more about Alice here. Not Alice, Jenny. Why did I say Alice? What the hell am I on about? I've been thinking about Jenny here for a moment. The more I think about Jenny, the less keen I am. So I'm going to put this on here. And as for Jenny, I think I'm going to move Jenny over here. I'm 50-50 on whether or not I'd scrap it or own it. I like it, don't get me wrong, it's a lovely looking engine. But I don't know if I'd want to own it or I'm indifferent to it. I'm sorry to any Jenny enthusiasts out there, but I am... This is my YouTube channel. I am Lord, Tsar, and Dictator of this channel. If you got a problem with it, bugger off. How do we feel about the Pennsylvania Railroad J1? I don't know. How do we feel, chat? So this is a 210-4 engine. A Texas type. Of course a Texas locomotive would have 10 driving wheels. Ugh. I need more, where did I put the bottle? Where did I put the bottle? Here's the bottle. I need more funny juice if I'm going to do this. In the meantime, chat, you just have your conversation. It never operated in Texas, though. This specific locomotive or that wheel arrangement never operated in Texas. Because the wheel arrangement might have originated from Texas. Then again, wheel arrangements always have, like, a strange way of coming around. Like, Mikado engines. Mikados, they're, 282, aren't they, Mikados? If I'm remembering correctly. Like, Mikado engines didn't originate in Japan. They just became popular in Japan. And because they were a popular Japanese wheel arrangement, the nickname just stuck. Because I think that was the emperor of Japan at the time, was Mikado. I could be chatting utter shit here. That's just how I remember the wheel arrangement getting its name. I know, like, mountain-type engines, 482s. I think it's just, in the early days of Steam, they were popular on mountain railways, or, like, grades with steep inclines before, you know, Malays showed up and 12-wheeled engines showed up. Because they were fairly good on passenger services, but I don't know. Sort of the title of the Emperor of Japan. In Japanese, it was still the Mikado. Okay. When this thing gets in a derailment, it makes a TF2 critical hit sound. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Let's pour myself a drink. Okay, and that's the last of the orange juice of this carton. I just threw that at the radiator, ignore that. Ignore that clang. What are we feeling then? Scrap, drive, or own? Because I'm feeling with this engine the same way I felt about that 12-wheeled engine. It doesn't jump out at me as something that feels exciting to drive. I don't feel like I'd get behind the regulator of this thing, open it out. I don't feel like I could speed along the line. I'd pull the whistle. I'd be in the moment. Don't get me wrong, this would look beautiful climbing a grade with a heavy wagon or with a heavy train behind it, or if it's pushing something up a steep grade. But I don't know, think of its power. I guess it's a powerful engine. But I'm not after power. I'm not after speed. I'm after something, with drive at least, I'm after something that would feel good to drive. I guess it's like a car, really. You know, there are some cars you get behind the wheel and it's not fast, it's not fun, it's just like a hatchback, I guess. Hatchbacks are fun to drive because they're small, but they're energetic. You can skid a hatchback around a corner, but it's small enough that it would be practical and it's fun to drive. You can put someone behind the wheel of a sports car all you want. That doesn't make the sports car fun to drive. There has to be a certain energy to an engine to make it fun. I don't get the vibe from this engine that it would be fun to drive or own. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this. Maybe it's the schmalcohol. I don't know. I'm leaning more towards scrap with this one, but I feel like chat is disagreeing with me. I don't know if I'd want to own one, though. Because own is, I would look at this and be like, yes, I am glad I saved this. I'm glad this is mine. I don't look at this and think I'd be glad to own it. I don't think it would feel good to drive. A high speed, maybe, but I don't know. I'll tell you what, I'll put this here between scrap and drive. I bet on a mountain range or on something with grades, like hearing the bark on this go up a grade would be nice. But I don't think I'd go out of my... If I was given other options, I don't think I'd choose it. What a great Valentine's Day this is. Me just saying, I'm indifferent to certain locomotives. A joke submission and a real submission. You can probably guess which one. The Snowdon Mountain Engines or the Toblerone. Okay, the Snowdon... I'll go with the Snowdon Mountain Engines for the time being. The picture they've attached is one of the diesel Snowdon engines. But I am a steamy guy who likes his steam. So let me just get a picture of a Snowdon railway locomotive. A steam locomotive, at least. Ooh, this is a lovely picture. From www.simondementia.co.uk. I'm sorry that you've got dementia, Simon, but you've got a very lovely picture on your website, and I'm gonna post it here. So, dementia. Yep, that's what the website said. Your guess is as good as mine. So, Snowdon Mountain Railway engine. I think this angle might be a little extreme. I think, let me just... There we go. I don't know if this would be fun to drive. I don't know if this would be fun to drive because the Snowdon engines have to go really slowly. Because it's a rack railway. You're not going to break a speed record climbing up a rack railway. Going down it, maybe, but not going up it, certainly. I definitely own one of these. I definitely love to have a rack railway engine. Or just anything that can climb a hill. I think there's enough uniqueness and charm to the Snowdon engines, or any of the Swiss mountain engines. I definitely, I brought it up in another stream when I got it wrong, but the... hold on, please consider South Australian 520 class. When I get to the bottom of the list, which I highly doubt I'll do in this stream, because that's just how I roll. I can never get to the bottom of a list. I'm still like a year behind, nearly 2 years behind on Cursed Trains. I don't think I'm getting to the bottom of the list on this stream, but I'll consider it. Where was I? Yeah. Indian Railways, the Nilgiri Mountain Railway. That uses Swiss-built rack railway steam engines with, you know, the tilted down boilers and, you know, the extra gears in the middle that lock into the teeth on the railway track, etc., etc., etc. There's a charm to these. Because they're just... At face value, they're clearly a steam locomotive, but there's just enough going on under the hood. With the rack rail, the backward cylinders, the different gearing, the tilted down boiler, you know, the almost pannier water tanks that you've got here, and the pipes. There's just enough going on here that they're visually interesting. And like the oil tank, because none of these are coal fired, they're fired by oil, and the oil tank is mounted in the roof of the cab. Isn't that fascinating? I love that. I think you could take all of these out of operation. I don't think they're that interesting to drive. In the roof, what? Yeah, when I did the video on these engines on the Snowdon Mountain Railway, I found that out too. The oil tank is here in the roof. At least I remember it being in the roof. If I am wrong on that, someone please Google that and correct me this stream. Because the last thing I want to do is for someone to watch this stream and be like, oh, that's true, and it's not. Misinformation is a bitch these days. And yet some people love misinformation. I'm guessing you guys have seen my video, Everything Wrong with the Trains in the Polar Express, when I made that joke about like the know-it-all kid And I said, I'm going to call this kid X from the amount of misinformation he's spreading. Do you know how many comments I got on that video of people being like, oh, of course you're a left-tard. Yeah, X is so much better now. Ooh, why didn't you go to your safe space? Ooh. My God, people are insufferable. But my point being, though, if I'm wrong, please correct me. Because the last thing I want to do is be wrong. Hell, in this week's video, the Valentines train crash in Dublin, it's as I was editing the video, I thought, Rinolar. I looked up Rinolar to make sure I've pronounced it correctly. But I feel weird saying Rinolar. I'll double check it. And I found out there's a place in France also called Rinolar, spelt the exact same way, but it's pronounced differently. And for a brief moment I thought, oh God, this is a place in Ireland. Have I pronounced Rinolar in the same way it's pronounced in France? And I'm gonna get a ton of upset comments from Irish people saying, that's not how you say it! Oh God. Being a YouTuber is difficult, man. It's fun, but it's difficult. But it's fun. What would you call a 424 locomotive? I don't know. Underpowered? Weird looking? Have you seen the Then I Got Serious Hornby ad? I have not. Someone's going to post that in stream highlights, and I'm probably going to watch it at some point. Anyway, Snowdon Mountain Railway engines. Let's get back on topic here, because every time I go off on a tangent replying to chat, people get really upset at me for deviating from the subject at hand. I think definitely own. Snowdon Mountain Railway's engines, I'd definitely own one of these. Even if it never ran again, just the novelty of the design, I like it. You can go safely in the own category, Snowdon Mountain Railway engine. A fine piece of Swiss engineering you are. Okay, someone's posted a bunch of different locomotives in different states of construction. So they've posted I believe that's a War Department 210-0. I could be wrong, but it was that a 9F? That might be a 9F. No. Yeah, no, that's a War Department 210-0. I swear, is it? It's in too much of a state of disrepair for me to tell. That's a Bullied Pacific. That's a BR Mogul tank. We'll go with this. We'll go with the Great Northern Stirling Single. Look at this. This is a beautiful looking engine. That is beautiful. I was thinking about this the other... Smash! Who said smash? New Haven. You said smash. Oh dear. Great Northern Sterling Single. These are beautiful looking engines. Sorry, my throat is... let me have a glass of water. If you ever feel ill, if you ever feel bad, glass of cold water. Does your throat a world of good. Sterling Single, though. It's truly a gorgeous engine. It's one of those, though, where if you've ever seen footage of this engine in motion before it was put on just static display, when it was still operational in preservation, it's so strange seeing it moving because the driving wheel is so big. Don't you love it when you try to send $1 to a YouTuber and your tab dies while trying to fill out your card info? Sorry there, Steam Chest. Hey, you're under no obligation to send money to me. I'm just happy you're here watching. That's enough. Thank you. Anyway, it's so surreal watching this move because it's what, a 7-foot tall 7-foot diameter driving wheel? So the cylinders and the crank, it doesn't need to move that quickly for the engine itself to move that quickly. And so it's really strange because when you look at the cylinder and the connecting rod here, it doesn't move that quick, but it's going at quite a high speed. 8 foot 1 inch. It's a big wheel. That's my point. It's a big wheel. As someone who has seen it in person, it's a big wheel. But yeah, no, the cylinder and the crank doesn't move that quickly, but the engine itself does. So it's very strange to watch it in motion. But just, it is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous engine. I'd love to drive it. I don't know if I'd want to own it. If I wanted to own an engine, I'd want something with more than one driving axle. I'd want something that I know could move reliably. It could get started reliably, and with one set of driving wheels, I'm not sure I want to have this frequently. But to drive this, to like have this on a nice stretch of track, to just have this on like a clear flat straight and just opening up the regulator and seeing what that 8-foot driving wheel could do. God, it would be lovely. I'm going to put this on the halfway point between drive and... maybe not the halfway point. It's more drive than own. I mean, it's old school, so it'd be easy to... No, I'd definitely put this on drive, but I'm leaning towards own with it, but I'm more drive than own. I think that's going to be my sort of stance on this at the moment. No, that's not what I meant to click. Okay. That's a model train, so I don't care. This is the 1401, a Southern Railway Pacific. Her name is Charlotte. No, really, it's on her cab. We got our first Pacific engine, I think. I mean, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. Is it? Wow, this is a small picture. Our first Pacific engine. How are you feeling, chat? I'll ask all of you to make a decision while I nip to the loo, because alcohol and drinking a lot of liquid makes you want to go pee. And don't you start conspiring any evil plots against me while I'm gone. You all still there? You better be behaving yourselves. I see you wanting to post duck emojis. It's also, I was going to the toilet, I realised, boy, am I really tipsy. And then I look at the amount of vodka I drank and it's barely a quarter of the bottle. And then I remember in my first year of university, on a Saturday, I used to drink nearly a full bottle of vodka. Maybe 4/5, 5/6. Most of the bottle. I drink a significant amount of vodka on a Saturday night, and I'd wake up the next morning without a hangover. And I've not even drank a quarter. Yeah, I've drank like an eighth. A seventh. And I'm feeling fairly buzzed. So if anything, that tells you that train of thought in the first year of his university life was really going through some shit. This is the livery that inspired the LNER A3 in apple green. Ooh. I don't know though. The A1s and the A3s in apple green look nice. I don't know if I like this green. It's a very... I don't know how to describe it. Matte, plasticky looking green. I don't know. This might be one of those colours that looks better in person than it does on photos. Its delivery was inspired by... Oh, sorry, I misread that. I thought the LNER was inspired by this. No, this was inspired by the LNER. Sorry, I got confused. Point being, though, in this picture, I'm not too keen on the colour. A lot of people are saying it's the lighting. It looks like a Christmas train. It seems... Yeah. It's that faux Christmas tree green. And it's not selling me. Honestly. It doesn't look good in any lighting. Please tell me it at least looks good in person. Because I remember when Tor Valley was painted purple for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, was it? The 70-year Jubilee? I remember when that was painted purple for the Queen's Jubilee. Oh god. YouTube's being funny. There we go. I remember when that was being painted purple for the Queen's Jubilee, and I looked at all the pictures of it and I thought, ugh, it looks horrible. But then I went and I saw it in person and it looked beautiful. Like, it was such a nice shade of purple, of like royal purple. In every picture I saw, it was garish, but in person, it looked nice. And so I don't know if it's the same for this, because it could just be that in pictures, a bit like me, it looks horrendous. Or it could be in person, this looks really nice. I don't know. It still makes the boiler look like it's made of plastic, and for that, I'm not keen on it. I think it might just be because it's too clean looking. I don't know. I don't know. Sarah Hendricks says you've seen it. Does it look better in person than it does in this picture? Because I genuinely don't know. I don't know if I'd want to own it. I don't know if I'd want to drive it. I think this might be... This might be another one for the scrap category. Sarah's saying yes. So it looks better in person. Okay. So I'll squint a little bit and try and imagine it seeing it in person. It is a nice shade of emerald green, I'll give it that. Even if it is a bit plasticky looking. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't know if I'd want to own it. I don't know if I'd want to scrap it. I don't know if I'd want to drive it. When it comes to driving, I'd lean more towards tank engines because they feel scrappy and responsive and fun to drive. But this... I don't know. I get suspicious when an engine is too clean. I think what this might be... you know what? I'll put this here. No, I'll leave it here. It's undecided. It's not in any category right now. It's undecided. And if I can think later... Oh, hold on. Someone's posted in stream highlights. The green is slightly different in lighting. You know what? That's different lighting, but I can see that now. That does look... Ooh, that's a nice shade of green, actually. in proper lighting now. When it's slightly more pale, that adds to it. Ooh. You know what? It can go... Ooh. I don't want to drive it. I know I definitely don't want to drive it. There are better options for driving. Oh God, this is such a difficult decision. I'll leave it here. I'll have it leaning more towards own. I'm 50-50 on whether I'd want to own it or I'm indifferent, but I'm 50-50, but I'll leave it here more towards own. Alright, let's move on to the next thing, because we've been on this one for a while because I was busy peeing. The OBB 5047. Let's have a look at this. This is... What country is this from? Because the rails look narrow gauge. Is this... I don't want to say German. It looks European at least. Because it's got buffer and chain. I don't want to say Russian. Austria? People are saying Austria. Okay, so it's Austrian. Thank you. Or some people are saying it's Swiss. Swiss or Austria. It's around the Alps. I think we can put it that way. It's around the Alps. One of the major reasons why photographic renditions do not show the actual colour sensitivity of film... Yeah, sensitivity of film. So it's the OBB. I know the O is pronounced slightly differently. But I'm referring it to the OBB just for clarification. I remember when I did, on a slight tangent on pronunciation, when I did the video on the bullied turf-burning locomotive, the Irish railway network it was built on was the CIE, but the E had an apostrophe above it, so it's technically pronounced A. So it should have been said CIA, but I pronounced it CIE because, especially in an audio format, saying this engine was built for the CIA, suddenly everyone thinks it was out. Everyone thinks Ireland built this engine to assassinate Pedro Pascal. What was his name? Not Pedro Pascal. That's Pedro Pascal. That's an actor. You know, what's the guy from Cuba I'm thinking of? Fidel Castro. That's it. Jesus Christ, this vodka is potent. Let's have some more. Fidel Castro. Jesus. Anyway. That's why I would say it's O. I know it's pronounced differently, but I'm just saying O for the sake of clarification. So this is an Austrian engine, as people have been very, very blatant to correct me on. Indeed. I don't know I'd want to drive it. And I don't know I'd want to scrap it or own it? If I owned this, I'd definitely gut it and turn it into some kind of mobile home, as I would do with a railway carriage. It's a DMU, not an engine. I'll refer to it as whatever I like for this stream because I'm too pissed to clarify. Hey Todd, did you know that Southern Pacific had an LAPD police caboose? Hey, post that in the Train of Thought Discord server. That sounds like a hilarious video that I want to make. So, I don't know what I do with this. I don't know what the ride quality is. I don't know what it's like on the inside. This could be the Austrian equivalent of a Pacer, and I wouldn't know. I'm going on purely vibes alone here. Someone's posted a picture of the inside on the Discord channel. Yeah, here we go. Oh, it's quite cozy on the inside. Oh, it's quite nice. Well, let me just post it here so people know. So that's what it looks like on the inside, apparently. A lot of brown and orange. It's a very 70s interior. As for this engine specifically, I don't think it'd be that thrilling to drive. I think it would be nice. This feels like... Have you ever spoken to a bus driver? Have you ever had a bus driver drive a certain route frequently that you take, and you get to know the bus driver? Because when I went to college, there was this one bus driver that drove frequently on the route. I could never remember his name, but before he'd set off, because he'd usually arrive a little bit early at the stop, so he'd hop out of the driver's seat, he'd let everyone on board, he'd get them to pay for their tickets, and he'd hop out and he'd have a cigarette, and he'd hop back in and he'd set off. And I used to talk to him, and he was a very friendly chap, and he told me some jokes. He was very friendly to catch up with. We spoke about life, how days were going. He was a friendly enough chap. And I think the last time I saw him, he said he was going for an examination because he had some kind of medical issue. I can't remember if it was like a cancer or something like that. I can't for the life of me remember. But he used to, drive the bus service. And as the bus was going along, I'd stand up as the bus was going along. And I'd just natter with him as he was driving along, and it was fun and it was nice. I feel like I could have a chat with the driver as this bus was going along. You know what I mean? I feel like whoever's driving this engine, they could leave the door to their cab open, and I'd stand in the doorway and we'd talk and we'd laugh. I feel like this is a very sort of small town commute engine. I like the vibe of this. Whether or not I drive it or own it, I don't know, but I like the vibe of it. And because I like the vibe of it, my worst attribute is I'm a devil's advocate. No matter who it is, I'm always a devil's advocate. So this could be the Austrian equivalent of a Pacer, but I like it, and I think I definitely put it somewhere in between own and drive, because this feels like my kind of vibe. I feel like there'd be a little town in the middle of somewhere, and this would be the only way to and from the nearest city or the nearest place where you can go shopping, and I pick people up and I say, "Hello Doris, how are you doing?" Yeah, driving it on a rainy day would be cozy. I like this. I'm probably gonna get someone once this stream is done and it's just a VOD on the channel. Someone's gonna be like, "Oh, ToT, that's actually the worst engine in all of Austria. Actually, that engine broke down constantly and was awful." I like it. I like the vibe. Alright, let's see. The pictures after that are model trains, which I've said I'm not counting. Interesting. We've got the Corris Railway Falcon and the Corris Railway Stuart and the Talyllyn Stuart as well. But it's all in the same picture. So I'll tell you what, I'll copy this picture, chat, and I'll paste it. Which one should we... Actually, let's do them separately. We'll start with the Falcon. I like tank engines. If there's any engines that's going to end up on the drive list, they're tank engines and they're diesels. Because they're simple. I feel like I can drive a tank engine. There's maybe certain tender engines, but I feel way more confident driving a tank engine. I feel like a tank engine being one unit, with a tender engine you've got the tender to consider as well. A tank engine being one unit, I feel way more comfortable driving this. It's a Falcon. I love this. I don't know. I love this engine. Fun fact, by the way, when I went to the Audrey Extravaganza, the third Audrey Extravaganza in 2023. Shout out in chat, by the way, if you were there at the Audrey Extravaganza in 2023, because you might have seen me at some point. I love every time I see a picture of the Audrey Extravaganza. People are taking photos around the station at Talyllyn. And then there's just me stood in the background. But obviously people are too busy photographing the engines and photographing each other's models and stuff that they don't notice me in the background. And in fairness, I didn't exactly introduce myself to a lot of people. So I just see certain pictures and there are just people. I'm just in the background. And it's so funny for me to think, how would they react knowing they've got a picture of me? How would they react knowing that they were just like a few feet away from the train of thought? I don't know, it's a funny thought I like to think about sometimes at the Talyllyn. Oh man. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Falcon. I do like a nice Falcon. I do like a nice Falcon. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't scrap. Never scrap. Drive. Definitely somewhere between own and drive. Let's put this somewhere between own and drive. I think it would just be something nice that you could fire up on a lazy Sunday and just potter about on. Like, it wouldn't be running 24/7, but it would be nice to just have going. Let's focus on the tattoos as well. Hey, D-Man's here! Yo, let's go. I didn't miss all of the stream. I know, but you've missed some interesting points. The tattoos. I'm definitely leaning to more towards own with these. I'll put both of them in own, just because this is a nice picture of them together. I think I'd put them more towards own. I think I'd definitely prefer to drive the Falcon engine. But with these, I'll put them in own. I'll have them close to the drive border, though. They're somewhere between own and drive. Okay. Next on the docket. How could I forget? AA20. Which if I ever do remaster videos, this is one I do definitely need to remaster. Because I said in that video I said this engine didn't carry a name in service. I was wrong. It did have a name, I just couldn't pronounce it and I was too stupid to research it any further. I'd like to think that I've improved enough as a YouTuber that I'd know to try and pronounce the name. I think it was named after like a Russian prince or something. I can't exactly remember. But you all know, everyone's already saying in chat Igor. I'll just refer to it as Igor from now on. A. Andyerev. Some people are saying Andriy, some people are saying Andyerev. It was a politician, sorry. Not a prince, it was a politician. And D-Man with 10 gifted members, thank you. Andyerev. Actually, I'm butchering that. Fuck it. It's just called Igor. It's just called Igor. You all call it Igor, I'll call it Igor. Restore it and running on the main line. Sorry, restore it and run it on the main line. Oh, screw it. It's Valentines. I'm having a chocolate. I'm having an Aldi-owned brand. What's this? Dairy Fine Milk Chocolate Bonds mixed with milk and hazelnut piece centers. Individually wrapped for more fun. No, it's because we want to put more plastic in the ocean so we can kill the turtles faster. It's Valentine's Day. Eat chocolate on Valentine's Day. It doesn't have to be heart-shaped. If anything, the heart shape is worse. Heart-shaped chocolate. The love heart shape isn't ideal. You want something that's perfectly circular. It's a good circle is a good shape. Holds its own form, but at the same time, also you can pack the most amount of flavour into that as well. You don't need heart shape, you need Aldi-owned brand chocolate, Dairy Fine milk chocolate bonds with mixed milk and hazelnut piece centers. That's what you need. Somebody find this man some love. Okay, two things. First of all, I don't need love, I have chocolate. Second of all, I'm terrified of intimacy. So, I end off. Anyway, Igor. I'm not sure I'd want to drive this. But at the same time, could you imagine being behind the regulator of this thing? Could you imagine being the guy that got to pull the whistle on this and set off? Train of thought, the type of guy to fire up an engine when confronted by women. Maybe. For the right kind of woman, I might stick around. Who knows? Anyway, Igor here. Where on the chart? Where on the chart are you thinking, chat? Because I'm definitely somewhere between drive and own. Because I think owning this engine would be nice as a sort of like, hey, look at this crazy thing we've preserved. But also driving it as well. I'll put it on the border. I don't think I'd want to drive it more than I'd want to own it. You know, I'll put it here because at the same time it wasn't particularly good, so it's kind of on the border of scrap. I think somewhere between drive and own. I'm leaning more towards own than drive, so it can go on the border for now. Again, this is subject to change. I might change my mind. Penn Central T1. This is an engine I think a lot of you are familiar with. If you're not familiar with it, you certainly are aware that they're trying to either rebuild it or restore one of these. Can we get a Penn Central in chat, please? This wasn't a Penn Central engine. This was a Pennsylvania Railroad engine. I apologize. Yeah, can we get a Pennsylvania Railroad in chat, please? So this is the 444. 4. How are we feeling about this engine? Drive, scrap, own? Scrap it. Jim van der Kolk, very quick on the scrap. Drive, own, drive, drive, scrap, drive, own, drive. Very mixed here. It's a very mixed bag. Again, a lot of people leaning between own. I'm not too familiar with the performance of these engines, so forgive me if I'm a little blunt or ignorant. I think these might be fun to drive. I think what's really throwing me off is that it's a Mallet, but it's a 4444. It's a duplex drive engine, meaning it's complete shit. Yeah, you know what? Like, why didn't you make this a 484? Why did you make this specifically a 4444? You know what I mean? Like, did the Pennsylvania Railroad have a lot of really tight bends? Was there a specific reason? They made it like that so it wouldn't put so much pressure on the rails. That's why you make it a 4/8/4. You don't need to make it a mallet or articulate it. Because you add an extra set of cylinders, you add an extra set of valve gear to maintenance. You know what I mean? Which Discord channel do you send the image to? If you want to send images, it's in Stream Highlights. I started a thread called Pics Here. The T1 was not articulated. So what was the point? It's just a duplex then. More cylinders means more power. I apologise, I'm used to a lot of American locomotives being mallets. I'm sorry. Don't crucify me. So this is just a duplex. I mean, I guess you double up the number of cylinders, you double up the amount of power, but I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Preserving it might be interesting. I do think it's an interesting engine to look at. Like, why is its connecting rods... Why are the connecting rods so thick on this engine? Like, is that just me, or are those connecting rods thicker than usual? Especially, like, here, where the crank pins would be. People are saying roller bearings. I'm not... Like, the crank pins are one thing, but the actual rod itself is so thick. I don't know. I think we found the first engine that I'm willing to put into the middle. Because it would be nice to preserve one, but it would kind of be fun to drive, but at the same time, I'm not really that fussed that we lost it. No, I take that back. I put that here. So it's more towards own or drive, but I'm not too fussed about losing it. Spooner's boat. This looks fun. This is a Festiniog locomotive, which... Again, when I did my video... I'd done a video on this, actually. The boat built for the Spooners. The fact this thing has a mast on it, like, there's a mast you can put on it, because there's, you know, the really long stretch of wharf that this would stop on, and, like, people would just ride on this down the hills of the Festiniog Railway. I like it. You know what? Pretty open and shut. I'm not sure I'd want to own this, because I feel like I could just build one of these myself. And, like, the fact they put a boat front on it was more of, like, just an aesthetic choice than anything practical. But if you gave me the opportunity to sit on this and just gravity train it down the hill, I would do it in a heartbeat. So I'm putting this in drive. What else we got here? People keep posting it in stream highlights. I keep telling you, if you want me to consider it, scroll up a little bit. Hold on, I'm just gonna pin the message just so people know where it is. There you go. In the thread I put for pics here, the Strasbourg Railroad with a Mavis face. I'm gonna pass on that because it's just more of a close-up of the front of the engine. I've not got a good view of the side. Ah! Here's something that's worth considering. Cock of the North. A Gresley Mikado engine. One of the P2s. This is something fierce. I mean, first of all, I just love to own it because it's called Cock of the North. But hold on a second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Baldwin 26. World's most mid-Mikado? Yeah! Those are fighting words. Those are fighting words you've got there. The world's most mid-Mikado. Mikado. Oof. What do we think to that, chat? Is this mid? Is this mid? Because I don't know. Like the smoke deflectors at the front. The smoke deflectors at the front and like the double chimney. And like the slightly tilted back smoke box that cuts off at the top. And the slight streamlining to it. I don't know. I think this has a lot more personality to it than just a standard American Mikado. Ooh. Compared to other Gresleys, it's mid. I don't know. The Gresley Pacifics are nice, but there's just something about a 282, especially a British Railway 282. Ooh. This is tough, guys. I don't know if I'd want to own it. There's a lot of pressure when it comes to owning a Mikado like this. But would I drive it? I reckon on the main line, you open the throttle on this thing, I reckon it would be a blast. Having 8 driving wheels is unique in the UK. 8 driving wheels isn't rare in the UK. The Great Western, LNER, LMS, even Southern Railways had 2 8.0s for freight work. But an 8 driving passenger engine, that is rare in the UK. That is very rare. And it's why I still believe. I know people have done like, oh, Mallard isn't the fastest engine, this American locomotive is. I maintain Mallard is the fastest steam locomotive for its size. Because if British Railways didn't have such a restrictive loading gauge, if we could build engines as big as they could build them in America, I reckon we could crack that speed limit. I reckon we could crack that record. I reckon Gresley could have. The reason why Mallard went so fast was because it was so small compared to American and other colonial railways, but it had so much bang for its buck. And so whenever an American says, oh, the height of British locomotive freight engines was a 210. We had those prior to 1900. Yeah, because we had a very restrictive loading gauge. To get the power of the 9Fs in the size of the 9Fs, a lot of American engines were longer and taller and wider. The 9Fs were really compact by comparison. So British engines tend to have a bit more bang for their buck, is my point. I definitely put this is going in the drive category. I'm putting this solidly in the drive category. Just so we can move on, because otherwise I'm going to go down a tangent. Here we go. An electric engine. Also, thank you to joesherlock.com. I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for using this picture, but hey, it's here now. So, Joe Sherlock and chat, what do we think? GG1s of the Pennsylvania. A lot of people saying own, a lot of people saying drive. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of character to these. There's a real lot of character to these engines. You know what I mean? They're streamlined, they're electric, they're slightly articulated, they've got personality. But I just don't know. I don't know if but maybe they'd be good to drive. I don't know. Electric engines are great, but I don't think... I'm going to take a stand here. Electric engines are great, but I don't think they've got quite the same appeal to drive as a steam or a diesel engine. Because with a steam engine, you get behind the regulator, you open it up, you hear the bark of the engine. With a diesel engine, you hear the engine purr and roar as it gets louder. With an electric, you kind of just get a hum and a whir. And it's not the same thing. You'd feel it, I imagine, but it doesn't have the same oomph, you know. So it's a gorgeous looking thing. It's definitely going in the own category, and it's definitely staying... I'm indifferent to it, so it's going more towards scrap than it is own. But it's still in the own category. D-Man with more donations or gifted memberships, thank you very much. 8005. Of course it's 8005. BR Mogul Tank. What do we think of 8005? $80085, sorry. Goodness, schmalcohol really makes you forget how to say words properly. Own. A lot of owns. Which is fair enough. Personally, I'd own this engine just so I could have the number plates. Also, hold on, is that lettering on the side? SECR. Is this a British... This is a British Railways engine, right? This was built by British Railways. Like, the smoke box and, like, the way that you got the footsteps at the front. This is a British Railways engine. BR standard. SECR. Is that... Did they ever have that painted on the side of it? I'm not... You can see this, right? You can see this writing here. SECR. Did British Railways ever paint that? I didn't. Or is this just something someone's photoshopped on? I don't know. Someone's saying it's chalk, but... it's too neat to be chalk. Like, as much as the engine looks dirty, maybe it's because it's black and white, you can't tell how dirty it is. I don't know. I've never seen that before. That's interesting. I like that. I wish British Railways did that, where they'd say, like, they paint which region the engine is for on the side of it. That would have been nice. The letters say scrap. No, they don't, because that SE... Because the S is there and the R is there. That doesn't say scrap. S blank blank R. Also, sorry, I missed your message, USS Salem. Don't drive these unless you want PCBs in you. God damn it. Oh no, this is... Would I own boobs? I think this is the question here. Let's stop beating around the bush. 80085. It's boobs. That's how you spell boobs on a calculator. You know what? I like tank engines. I do like tank engines. I like these engines because I feel like I could drive it anywhere. It's got big water tanks. It's got a big bunker. It'd have good range on it. But just for the name alone, I'm putting it... I'd drive it. I'd drive it hard. On the verge of own and drive, but I'm leaning more towards drive. Chinese steam locomotive, but it's a more head-on angle, so I've not really got a good view on it. So sorry, USS Grey Ghost, if you give me a better angle on that. That's a tanker car. That's not an engine, so I'm not going to look at that. Let's see. A Russian locomotive or an American 262. I think we'll go for the Russian engine right now. Russian locomotive class O. I've always found Russian engines interesting. Or like Eastern European engines interesting to an extent. Because they just, for whatever reason, older ones at least, just have no pilot or pony wheels. Just no pilot or trailing wheels. Like, this is an 080, but it's got really small driving wheels. And it's got like, what is that, like a full meter? That's a good few feet of space between the front of the engine and the first driving wheel. This thing going along the line must swivel like mad. It must shake left to right like crazy, yeah? And like, there's no trailing wheels either. But it's got a vibe to it. I don't know what it is. It's got a vibe to it. People are saying drive. But I don't... Okay, on this list, when I say drive not only means like... Drive doesn't mean speed. Drive means how nice it would be. Like, I could stand on the footplate, pull the regulator open, put it into full forward, and just go. And it would be a smooth ride. It would be really enjoyable to drive. Maybe I'd get a thrill out of driving it. You know, this, I feel like it would just swivel. It's the reason why a lot of the US tank engines that were made during the Second World War, you know, they'd swivel like mad. You know, they'd shimmy left and right and they'd, you know, mess with the rails. I feel like this would shimmy left and right as it went forwards. And is there someone here who understands Russian and Eastern European locomotives far better than me? Did these things shimmy left and right? Because I feel like they would. When you've got such a big gap between the buffers, like the very front of the engine and the first driving wheel, if you've not got a pilot wheel or a guide wheel, one, you're not going to go very fast, but two, you're just going to shimmy and you're going to waddle and you're going to swivel side to side. You know, and the cab as well. Look at that. The cab. Look at the space between the back of this wheel and the cab. That's a good 4 or 5 feet. How far is that swinging outwards? You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, there's a charm to these. They're a simple 080 goods engine, but I don't know, I feel like they just shimmy too much. Like, it looks very... Someone's saying it's very back heavy if it wasn't for the tender, but the weight you'd have from the cab at the back you'd make up for with like this giant block of cylinders at the front, so it kind of balances out. But you kind of get what I mean. So I don't think I'd drive it. I don't think this would be a nice engine to drive. It would be a nice engine to see in operation, but I don't think I'd drive it. I'm not sure I'd want to own it. This might be another one that goes between own and scrap. It's definitely a no on the driving front for this. I'm putting this here because it's nice it's preserved. I'm not sure I'd want it to be preserved. Let's skip over that. Let's go to the next one. Big Bertha! We all know this engine. We all know this one. Come on. Hold on, let me get some should I get some appropriate music playing for this? I swear I had this somewhere. I had this saved somewhere, do I not? Where is it? Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. I swear I had music here somewhere. So I'm going through a lot of effort for one joke, but trust me. Come on. Here we go. Right. Finally. So, what do we think of Bertha? I love this engine. Just a British Railways 010O. Even if it doesn't run again, I'd own it. Like, look at the size of this thing. This was built by the Midland Railway. Oh, sorry, let me just turn it down a little bit. There we go. I love this thing. I love this thing. D-Man, please turn this music off. It sucks. It sucks. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'll get back to this in a second. Excuse me, D-Man. It sucks. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I'm sorry, but I must speak my truth. Hey, you know what? This is an accepting space. Train of Thought, the channel, and the streams are a space where we accept all opinions, all worldviews, all identities, etc., etc. This is an accepting place. And you are welcome to your opinion. But you're wrong. But we accept your opinion. It's a wrong opinion, but we accept it nonetheless. Anyway, Bertha. Yeah, this is going in own. I love Big Bertha. I just love this engine. It can go alongside Igor there, just as a... There we go. The sea train from One Piece. We're ignoring that because we are only talking about real locomotives. Let's see. Union Pacific Heavy Challenger, specifically 3985. Well, this is an interesting one. It'd be a bit big to own. I'm not sure I'd want to own this, because it feels just like a bit of a handful. but with a heavy freight train behind it. I bet this would feel real good to drive. I bet this would be real good to drive. Just hammering it up the mountain range. Just a tender with 20 tons of coal in it. Just a shit ton of water. An automatic stoker. And a boiler big enough to produce enough steam to boil Lake Michigan. I don't know. Like, there is enough water in this engine's tender and boiler to fill an Olympic swimming pool, and you're using it to charge up a mountain with a freight train. Again, it'd be difficult to own, but by God, would it be a masterful thing to drive. That thing could boil the Gulf of Mexico. It probably could boil the Gulf of Mexico. It's a big boy, but it's not a big boy, it's a big fella. Not a big boy. It's a Challenger. Big boys are different. Point being, though, I'd drive it. Wouldn't own, but I'd drive it. Well, it's the Gulf of America nowadays. Have you ever considered it's that? Have you ever considered it's not? It's the Gulf of Mexico. And no matter what Google Maps says, it's the Gulf of Mexico. USS Salem is joking. I know you're joking, USS Salem. But I'm just clarifying for any pricks who are listening. It's the Gulf of Mexico. It's always been the Gulf of Mexico. And it's going to stay the Gulf of Mexico. Anyway, let's put this in its rightful place before I get too many hate comments. Too many people saying, "Oh, you don't get a train of thought. Train of thought's woke. Here we go. Challenger's going in drive. Just a good engine to drive. What's next on the docket? Intercity. Now, I don't know much about early British Rail bullet trains. I don't know much about these streamlined diesels. So my ignorance might be meh. But if we're going on purely the locomotive alone, I'm indifferent to it. I've always been relatively indifferent to diesels. I know a lot of people speak favourably of these. I know Christopher Audrey put these into the Railway series. A lot of people saying they're the best diesels in the world. Own and drive, own and drive. I'm ignorant. I know nothing about these. So I'm going to take one from chat. I'm going to listen to you lot. And I'm going to put it in drive, and I'm just going to put it next to the Class 40 there. Ooh. This is one I was waiting for. This was one I was eager for. Hunslet Austerity. You gotta love a good saddle tank. You gotta love these. This is definitely an engine I would own, and it's definitely an engine I would drive. Next to the Class 40. Sir, that's a Class 37. Wait, D-Man, are you telling me this is a Class 37? My chat was telling me it was a Class 40. Has chat lied to me? You can scroll earlier through chat when I first put this thing up, when this is a VOD. People were saying this was a Class 40. I swear. Don't you gaslight me. People are saying it was a Class 37. People were saying it was a Class 4. I'm going to scroll all the way up. I'm going to go all the way up to the beginning of this stream. I swear to God. Okay, I can't scroll all the way up to the beginning of this stream because apparently that's too far. But I swear to God, people are calling it Class 40. When this stream becomes a VOD, people are going to look back and see that it was a Class 4, that people were saying it was a Class 40, even though it's a Class 37. I don't know my diesels, so I just trusted you. How dare you? How dare you? This is why I'm single. Because I'm scared to trust people. Because when I do trust people, they betray me. They lie to me. And they let me down. I hope you're happy, chat. You are the reason why I'm single. I mean, in fairness, the Class 37s and the Class 40s, they're pretty similar looking anyway. I confuse the LMS Mogul tank engines and the British Railway Mogul tank engines all the time. Hell, you try telling the difference between a star, a grange, a hall, a manor, a king, and a castle just from like a distance. Oh no. Let's not dwell on that. Austerity 060 tanks. What are we feeling? Love these boys. Absolutely love them. Someone's saying scrap. Really? A Hunslet Austerity. Oh, D-Man, as you said, Class 37s and 40s do look similar, but I'll post an actual Class 40. I'll see it later. I trust. I feel like this would be a nice engine to both drive and own. Maybe more drive than own. Because from what I understand, the austerities were bare bones. You could maintain them fairly easily. They were rough riding, but they got the job done. They were humble. But I feel like owning one... Again, they were austerity engines. They were built during the war. They were built as sort of... they're not ideal, but this'll do kind of engines. So I feel like they'd have some pep. I feel like they'd be okay to drive. But in terms of owning, I don't know. They'd be easy to maintain, but I feel like you'd have to be constantly maintaining them. You know what I mean? Wasn't it an austerity that went into that sinkhole? No, that was just a regular saddle tank. It was a different saddle tank. I think so, anyway. It was an 060 saddle tank, which, you know, looks like an austerity. But I don't think Dolly was an austerity. I don't know. I think this would be nice to drive. I think it'll be fine to own because they're just built to work. But I don't think they were built to do anything other than work, if you get what I mean. Like, austerity engines are great. Austerity engines are like... You know when you go to a deli counter, or when you go to a shop, and they have packs of sliced ham? You know it's super processed. You know it's super processed. It's got salt and water and different flavorings added to it. And it's fine on a sandwich. It does the job. It's filling, it's flavorful, and it works. But if you went to a restaurant and asked for like a leek and ham, a chicken leek and ham pie, and it was sliced deli ham, you'd be upset. I kind of feel this way about the austerities. They were built to work, and they just work. And there's a charm to that. There's like a humble, everyday, working man charm to that. But at the same time, they were just built to do that. There's not much personality to it. Like, I don't know, these were built to be mass-produced and work. There's no character to it. It's the vanilla of the train world. How it's like they're built to do a role. They're built to fill in for a certain position and not do anything more than that. They don't exceed at doing anything. They're just good at doing the bare minimum. So I think, for me, if I had options between so many other different tank engines, I'd own the other tank engines. For this, I bet they'd be nice to drive. It would be different. It would be nice to drive. Just get a feel for what British railways were building, like what Britain was building during the war. I don't think I could, in good conscience, own one of these when, like, a pannier tank was available, or, you know, like a nice 040. They'd be okay to drive. I don't think I'd want anything more than to drive them. Someone has posted this, which is, as we all know, the Pullman version. I do like these. I do like that blue. That's a very nice blue. I'm going to leave this outside. I'm gonna tell you what, actually. Let's make another little bubble. Where's my shape tool? What the? Why aren't you showing up? What the hell? Why isn't this showing up? Oh, I'm an idiot. Give me 1 second. No, that's not what I meant to. There we go. And I'll just... I'll create a tiny little bubble over here. And we'll call this one... For goodness sake. We'll call this the ride bubble. I don't know if I'd drive the Pullman, or if I'd own the Pullman, or if I'd scrap the Pullman. But I'd certainly love to ride on a Pullman. You know what I mean? I'd certainly love to go on a Pullman service. And I'd certainly love to just experience a Pullman service. Yeah, a Pullman service without the racism. As last week's video should make you aware of. But I'd love to ride on a Pullman. My uncle sent me a bunch of like leaflets for various Pullman services that run up and down the country. Each of them is like 400 or 500 quid a ticket for like 1 or 2 people. But it's like champagne, lunch, canapes. Oh, gorgeous. It's just a shame I don't like champagne or canapes. But my own Pullman coach. If I had my own Pullman coach, you know what I'd serve on it? Fish and chips. It'd be a ride to the seaside. Anglesey specifically, because the best fish and chips I ever had was at this one fish and chip shop from Anglesey. It would be a service that would go all the way to Anglesey. Everyone would get fish and chips. Fresh fish and fresh chips. And you'd ride all the way back with your fish and chips and your chip shop curry sauce. Oh. Gorgeous. That'd be gorgeous. And together, chat, we can make it happen. Anyway, what's this? A Polish experimental PKP OK55-3 462. God, that is a very dense sentence. You and me, chat. If every single person who is subscribed to me donates $1 or £1, I could put a deposit on a house and have a safe, stable place to live. Or we could buy a couple of Pullman carriages and I can run my special fish and chip service. Either way. Or I'm thinking of this. Polish steam locomotive. Eastern European steam. I'd like the smoke deflectors around the chimney / funnel. I like smoke deflectors on a funnel. They're a vibe. And no, it's not a 462, it's a 460. I just noticed that it is a 460. I like the tender. I always love a steam engine when there's coal piled well above the cab on the tender. I don't know what it is, but just seeing this little lump. Clearly the driver just backed up and was like, we'll take an extra little bit just to be sure. I don't know. Someone said this is an experimental engine, so I guess this is a video for another day. Don't know where I'd put this. I don't know if this would be drive. I don't know if this would be scrap. I feel like I'd own this. I feel this would be nice to own just as like an experimental engine and just saying, hey, this was what Polish State Railways decided to build in this year and this is how it worked. If it's a one-off engine, it'll be a nice museum piece. As for drive, I don't think I'd get any sort of thrill driving this. I don't think it would be a unique experience to drive this. So I'm just going to put this down in own. Just really far down in own. Like down... Whoop, down with Pat. Down in own. That's where I'm putting it down in own. Is down with Pat. Let's see. That's not really a good picture. That's not really a good picture. That's a model train. Here we go. This is something that's worth talking about. Q1. Bullied engine. World War II. Coffee pot. Charlie. Frankenstein. Bread bin. Whatever you want to call it. Ugly duckling. Neville, if you're that kind of person. Let's have a drink while chat decides. Scrap driver own. Now, with everything I understand about the Q1s, how they were literally built to be the bare minimum, but yet they were so powerful as well. Wouldn't drive because it looks bare bones and uncomfortable. Now you say that. I know I ragged on the austerities earlier for being too bare bones to have any personality. These, on the other hand, have personality because they're bare bones. Let me cook with this. The idea that Oliver Bullied went out of his way to redesign locomotive wheels to be stronger and use less material. The idea that he didn't put sideboards or splashers on. The fact that he knew the engine would need some kind of casing and insulation on the boiler, so he made it square so it was just that little bit easier to clean. The fact that there is nowhere to stand at the front when you want to empty the smoke box, so you'd have to lay a plank of wood over it. It's so simplistic that it's different. Now, if this was a tank engine, I wouldn't really care too much, but the fact that it's a tender engine, and the fact that it can run well backwards and forwards, and the fact that it looks so unique. Yeah, the fact that you can see the cylinders. Like, there's no extra material around the cylinders. It's not a cylinder block. It's not a great big lump of cast metal with the cylinder holes bored into it. They cast the cylinders to save material and made them small deliberately. It's got personality because it's bare bones. And it's not like the austerities, which lack personality because they're bare bones. The austerity engines were... The austerity saddle tanks, at least, were just a basic refinement of everything you need in an engine and nothing more. This is the same, but it's also stripped down even further. This is a true austerity engine. Like, you look at the Hunslet austerities, they still had side plates, they still had splashers, they still had certain comforts. This is like... This is going to sound weird to say, but you know the cars in, like, Mad Max Fury Road? How there's little decoration on them. Like, some cars are just built. You can see the engine block itself. Like, there's no streamlining, there's no casing, there's no body on it. You just see the engine block. You just see the transmission. You just see the gearbox and the cogs and the frames. It's bare bones. This is near enough a skeleton of a locomotive. And that's what makes it interesting. There's no other engine truly like this. Like, every austerity engine to an extent still had side plates, it still had splashers, you still had a place to stand when you needed to wash the top of the engine and climb around it. None of that. This engine wasn't built to be cleaned by hand. You just drag it through a carriage washer and get on with it. It's the closest thing to Rocket since Rocket in the extent. Yeah. This is Oliver Bullied saying, this is the bare minimum you need for an engine. And for that, I think it would be an interesting thing to drive. I think it would be... I want to own one of these because I feel like I could maintain one of these. And I want to drive one of these because I feel like it would just be an engine. No self-cleaning smoke box, no automatic speed checkers and regulators. It's just a machine, a built, up-to-date machine. And like the Pacifics Oliver Bullied built were great, but they were a little overcomplicated and experimental. This is Oliver Bullitt saying, okay, this is what works. I can guarantee this won't need repairing for a long time if we build it. Bang. This is the bare minimum you need for a powerful engine. And for that, that's definitely going in the own drive category. It's a shame this thing isn't running anymore. I know it used to run on the Severn Valley Railway, but it was taken out of service years ago. If I had all the money in the world, first of all, I'm sorry, I'm just a member of the bourgeoisie now, but if I had all the money in the world, or a good chunk, I'd definitely build a new one of these, just so I could drive it. Because I feel like this would be great to have in service. Just, it's built to work, it's built to do nothing but work. Let's see, the DRG Class 44. Ich habe auf Sie Deutsch der Locomotive. Let us look. What do you think? Okay, so this is... What did they say this was again? A Class 44. Well, yes, there's 44 there. I should have known. The doi. Well, a Class 44 locomotive. It looks fat. Am I the only one who thinks this? But it looks fat. And I don't mean that to be rude. I mean that in like, you know when you see like a sausage dog? There are the more like leaner ones, which, you know, skip happily around. But then every now and then you just see one of those fat sausage dogs. And it just sort of waddles side to side. You know, hold on, let me bring up a Class 52. Here's the Class 52 I'm thinking of. Yeah. Let me just bring up a Class 52 real quick. Like, you see what I mean? It's a fat 52. Like, the boiler's just so much wider. It just looks like a fat 52. So I don't know how to feel about this. I guess I'd scrap it? I don't know. It's a nice engine, don't get me wrong. Maybe own? Then again, I don't want to just immediately jump to scrap, but I don't think I'd get any thrill from driving it. I get this feeling with German engines. I get this feeling with German engines that they work, and they'd work fine. There wouldn't be a thrill, because a thrill implies there's an element of danger. And Germany wouldn't build a dangerous locomotive. That doesn't make sense. Why the hell would you build a dangerous locomotive? You'd build a locomotive that is guaranteed safe and guaranteed worked. So I don't know if I'd drive it, because I don't think there'd be much of a thrill to it. It would work. And I think it'd be good to own, because it's a guaranteed working engine, but I don't think it would be exciting to own. I don't think I could pour myself a drink, sit down, have a glass of wine and a cigarette and look at this and think, what a gorgeous machine. It's built to function. It'd be good, it'd be reliable. It'd be reliable and dependable, and you'd count on it, and if ever anything went wrong, you know you could fix it. But I don't think I'd be thrilled to own one. I just don't know what it is, but I think I'd put this somewhere between scrap and own. It'd be a dependable engine to have. I'm just not sure I'd be ecstatic to have it. That's my reasoning, at least. Again, people are still posting in stream highlights. I've pinned it. There's a thread. Let's see. Buick that was permanently converted into a railway inspection car. Oh, thanks you to copyrighted Firebox Graphic 2011. If you own the rights to this image, it's a very nice image. I mean, it'd be fun to drive. You know, your mates all pile into a car, you dump it on a railway track and you just go for it. It'd be fun to own it, it'd be fun to drive it. But it's not an engine, it's got more personality as a car than an engine, so I think as something I could build myself, it would be fun. I'm putting it somewhere between drive and scrap, leaning more towards scrap. It's a car, and we're here for trains. That's another austerity engine, so I'll skip past that. Ooh! Black Diamond. What do you know? Also, this stream has gone on for like just over 3 hours, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon. My Valentine's Day has been depressing enough. Streaming for like 4 hours doing this is not what I need to add to it. Anyway, Black Diamond. What do we think? Is this... I'm just wondering, is this a vertical boiler engine or is this a traditional horizontal boiler engine? Okay, it's a vertical boiler. And I imagine the boiler would be at the front, given that's where the smokestack is. Ooh. I don't know. This is a very interesting engine. It's a railway inspection engine. That's the thing. It's an inspection engine. It's designed for railway executives to pile in and have a drink and have a laugh while they're looking over the line and seeing what's theirs and, ooh, the scenery could be a little bit better. Maybe we should cut down that tree, or, ooh, the line here is looking a little rough, let's improve it here. You know, it's an inspection engine. It's designed to go up and down the line and be nice, but it's also designed to be comfortable for the, you know, the board members and the people with the money that are funding the railroad. So, I think this might be another engine that goes in the ride category. Because as interesting as it would be to own, I think the novelty would wear off quick. Driving as well, I think you'd be too concerned as a driver, like, or a fireman at least, not getting coal and wood ash all over the inside of it. So owning, I feel like it would be a bitch to maintain. Driving it wouldn't be fun, but I don't want to scrap it because it's such a unique thing. So I think I'd put this again in the ride category, because it's just built to be ridden in. So it's going in the ride category. This is a Great Western 3200. Someone's posted here, but it's missing its tender. Is there a picture of this with its tender? I don't see it with a picture with its tender. Okay, so I guess we're just going to have to do this without its tender. Here we go. Great Western 3205. There we go. What do we think? What do we think? Scrap, drive, or own? Because a lot of people keep saying between own and drive. But we're here to be brutal. We're not going to just get rid of the engine, because it's a steam engine. We want to preserve every engine we can. But we just don't really care for it. We're indifferent to it if we don't care. I don't know how I feel about this. It's a nice goods engine. I think it'd be good to own. I think it'd be reliable. It's Great Western, so it's simplistic. You know you're going to get the parts for it easy if it's a Great Western engine. I don't know. I view the Great Western Railway as kind of the one reliable railway in the UK. How it's like, yeah, we built 460s because they were reliable. We built the engines the way we built them because it was a design that worked. We're not going to experiment. It works. Like, we'll have one or two experimental engines just to see if this valve gear or if this boiler design improves things. But we're not going to go out of our way to build, like, you know, a Gresley P2. So I feel like this engine would work fine. I think this is going in the own category. Sorry, I've got the hiccups. I suppose that's what you get when you drink a considerable amount of funny orange juice. I suppose that's what your voice does when you drink a considerable amount of orange juice. Your voice just goes awful posh and awful funny. Strange how that works, isn't it? That's just a multiple diesel unit. I'm just going to pass that because I don't really care. Here's the C6226 dressed up as C6250 for the 45th anniversary of Galaxy Express 999 show. JNR C62, the largest, fastest speed in Japan, 5 by the way, speed record for narrow gauge locomotives. It's not a full picture of the engine, so I'm going to skip past it. Sorry, not sorry. Oh my goodness. Is that what I think it is? I think it might be what I think it is. Boko! Boko, my dear engine, save me! Sorry, let me just... Oh, let me stretch. Don't you think it's interesting that in Thomas the Tank Engine, Daisy, like Daisy's face, it's just Boko with makeup? Don't you think that's crazy? I know nothing about the Bokos. I know nothing about these engines. I know that one bogie has 6 wheels, one bogie has 4. That's about as much as I know about the Boko engines. It's why they're known as Boko, because it's a bow axle. No, it's a bow kind of bogie and a co kind of bogie. A Boko. There's Bobo engines, there's Coco engines, there's Boko. I hear they were kind of bad in real life. Doesn't surprise me. If none were preserved, and if they were all scrapped, then it kind of checks out that they weren't good. They were one of the worst BR locos. Yeah, it checks out. One is around. One remained. I didn't know one remained. Well, there we are. One Boko is preserved. They overheated and leaked oil. Yeah, checks out. I don't know. Not keen on diesels. I don't really care. Outside of Boko from Thomas the Tank Engine, they don't really have much personality. This doesn't jump out at me as something that would be a thrill to drive. It would be nice to own one because they're rare, but if rarity isn't a factor, if this is the days when these are commonplace, I'm gonna have to... I'm sorry, but it's gonna be a scrap. I think this is gonna be in scrap. There's charm to it, don't get me wrong. There's charm in seeing someone fall over themselves. There's a charm in seeing someone do their earnest best attempt at something and failing. But I just don't see it. Delaware and Hudson SD45. American rail fans hold this one in high regard because it's the engine used to play the character Buster in I Love Toy Trains. Okay, you know what? I'll put this in here just to nip it in the bud. Or butt. What is it? What is the saying? Is it nip it in the bud or nip it in the butt? I think it's nip it in the bud. I think. I'm gonna put this diesel here, and I know this is going to piss off an awful lot of American railroad enthusiasts. But I'm gonna lump basically the majority of American and Canadian diesels in with this. I know there's a lot of variety between them. I know there's different classes. But let's be real here. A good 80 to 90% of modern American diesel engines just look exactly like this. Some of them have 4-wheeled bogies. Some of them have 6-wheeled bogies. Some of them have more horsepower. Some of them have less horsepower. Some of them have bigger wheels. Some of them have smaller wheels. I get there are nuances and I get there are differences. They all look like this. It's the Great Western Railway taken to the extreme. They're the same engine photocopied again and again. Don't get me. I understand. Again, there are nuances. There are differences. There's just no visual distinction. And don't get me wrong. This is more a slander on their appearance than anything else. With the Great Western Railway, they found a design that worked, and they stuck with it. Because why fix what isn't broken? And I get that's the same with American diesels. You've got, the hood at the front, or I guess the nose at the front. You got this part at the front, you've got the cab, and then the rest of the engine and generator at the back. Why fix what isn't broken? The design works. But it's just the same thing over and over. Just the same thing over and over. So, if anyone else has posted any other American diesels in that look like this, I'm just lumping them all together for the sake of argument. And for this, I don't know if I'd say own. I'd put between own and scrap. Because I can't imagine they're like... I'm not going to get a unique experience driving this engine. It's not going to be a unique thrill driving this engine. And I'm not going to scrap it because it's a design that works fine and it's reliable. And if you were to put me in a room with a gun to my head and say, pick a locomotive that is going to get the job done, I'd pick this. But I can't say I'd be ecstatic to own one. I can't say I'd sit there again with a glass of wine and a cigarette and stare at it and think, goodness, what a machine. What else we got here? Ooh. 6213. How do we feel about 6213? Canadian National engine as well. There's a lot going on here. We've got the smoke deflectors, we've got like the slightly cut into smoke box at the front here, where they've like put a slight dent in the top. We've got, the American style wheels. I say American in terms of the continent, not the country. We've got, the round water tank tender at the back. Very built for purpose machine. A 484. I don't know. Train of thought, if you plan on ending the stream soon, wouldn't it be worth shutting down the thread so we don't have a cursed train situation again? You know what? It might be worth shutting down the thread after this stream. And then I can pick it up on another stream. Maybe next Valentines I'll get drunk and finish this. 6213. What are we feeling? What are we feeling? A lot of people saying own, a lot of people saying drive, but everyone says own and drive. Valve gear. Someone said the valve gears. I mean, it looks like Walshart's valve gear, but just chunkier. Is this Baker valve gear? It's hard to tell after a point. I bet this would be lovely to drive. I don't know why, Someone said no, it's Walshart's. Okay, yeah, no, sorry, it is Walshart's valve gear. Fun fact, Canadians call 484s Confederations. Well, it's a Confederation engine then. I'd say I like this. I like this. I think I'd drive this engine. I don't know if I'd own it, but with a rake of passenger cars behind me, a rake of Pullmans behind me, and just the great British Columbia in front of me, I think it'd be good. It's not pretty looking, you're right. It's not pretty looking. But I think it would be good to drive. It looks the right amount of power and dependability that I feel like I could open the throttle on this and just go. Again, it's not the most pretty looking engine. And I'm going to be blunt, a lot of American and Canadian and a lot of North American engines aren't pretty. But it's got just a certain je ne sais quoi. It's got a certain build to it. It looks sturdy. If I saw this thing at the front of a train, I know I'm going to get to where I'm going. I know there's not going to be a breakdown midway through my trip. I know this thing is going to get the job done. And for that, I think it'll be great to drive. Just good power, good performance, good to drive. Let's put that there. Right. What's next? Ooh, a New Zealand locomotive. NZR Dubs A-Class 040T. Okay, we'll take the second picture because that's much clearer. And I think this might be the last engine we look at this stream, because time is a factor and entropy comes for us all. Oh, Tiasen's here. I get to see some more travelling. Hi, Tiasen. How you doing? Good. That's good. I don't know if you've actually said you're feeling good. I'm just assuming you feel good. I mean, if you sent me $10 and saying that you get to watch me while travelling, I'm guessing you feel good. This is the definition of a bush locomotive. Hold on, Tiasen says driving. Are you driving? Tiasen, are you driving a car? Don't watch my stream while you're driving a car. That's a terrible idea. You're going to get distracted and crash, and I don't want to be the reason one of my lovely, lovely moderators gets in a car crash. What, are you driving a Tesla? Are you driving one of those self-driving cars? I mean, if it's a self-driving car, then yeah, sure, I guess you can justify watching me and taking your eyes off the road, but don't! Anyway, ironically, these were built for public tramways. This one was chosen for some reason to work on a bush tramway. Okay. So these are public tramway engines, which kind of adds to this, I guess. Train of Thought do 3 more after this one. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to call it here, I'm afraid. Hey, USS Salem, you've posted a lot to this stream tonight, and I thank you for the contribution, but I am tired, I am hungry, I am drunk. I do need to end the stream at some point. Plus, I'm probably going to prattle on for a while of people asking questions anyway, so yeah. Anyway, someone said this is goober-shaped, and I am inclined to agree. This very much is shaped like... I don't know, the word doohickey comes to mind. You know what I mean? It feels like a contraption. Someone says the side tanks piss me off. I totally get it. The side tanks feel like they should be bigger, or they should at least be like a pannier tank arrangement. It's such a strange looking engine. I don't like the livery. Yeah, you know what? I'm inclined to agree. What would you say? It's teal? That kind of bluey greeny colour? I don't know what colour you'd describe it as. Aquamarine? Yeah, like a kind of prismarine colour. Cyan? I don't know. It's not a nice colour for an engine. I think... I mean... Okay, it is a nice colour. I think a lot of other engines with this colour would look nice. I think like a classic saddle tank, or a classic pannier tank, or a Ginty would look good in this. I don't know about this kind of tank layout. And you'd think as well, wouldn't you make the tanks bigger? Wouldn't you make the water tanks bigger, or you'd make it a saddle tank or something? I don't know. It's a strange looking engine. I get the vibes this would be nice to drive. Like, there's a certain simplicity to it. Like, I feel like you could drive it and fire it yourself. I'm just not sure I'd want to own it. Again, you ever get the vibe that you feel like you could build this yourself? This feels like something you could put together with parts out of a scrapyard. Someone said I thought I heard the door open. Yeah, it's my roommates milling about. Being happy and having relationships and loving partners. Bastards. But yeah, no, like this, I don't know. I feel like this would be fun to drive on a tramway. I feel like this would be fun to, like, drive up and down a very rural, overgrown railway. But I don't think this would be... It's a museum piece, but I don't think it would be anything more than a museum piece. Where do we put this? Where do we put this, chat? I'll tell you where we put this. I think we put this with the Pennsylvania. We put this right in the middle. ToT, focus on the bigger picture. They have loving relationships, but you have chat to irritate you and give you money sometimes. You know what, D-Man, you're absolutely right. Thank you very much for that enlightened perspective. I will keep that in mind next time chat drives me up the wall. I think it'll go here. It's kind of the perfect between the three, because it's so bare bones and weird looking I'm inclined to scrap it, but it's unique enough that I want to own it, and I kind of want to drive it as well because I feel it'd be simple and easy enough to drive that I could do it. So I'm putting it here in the middle. And I think that's where we're gonna end the stream with drive, scrap, own. Let's do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 in drive. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 in own. 3 in scrap. 4 in drive/own. 5 in own/scrap. 2 in scrap/drive. And 2 slap bang between all three. God, my throat is dry. Are we returning to Half-Life next stream? Probably. We're on the I think we're on the last 4 chapters of Half-Life, so we're probably gonna play Half-Life next stream and just finish the game. Hold on, let me put us back on this. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to save this like that. Bada bing, bada boom. And now I post this in stream highlights. There you go. I've posted the final chart in stream highlights, so that's it. Okay, Tiason, also thank you Tiason for the 10 gifted members, that's very much appreciated. I'm going to go drink some Coke and go to bed now. You do that. I don't know if Coca-Cola is the thing you want to drink before bed because it's literally just sugar. I still got to catch up with the last Half-Life stream. Then you better catch up then. Train of thought, can we exit with special Valentines music? Like an 8-bit version of Love Train. I don't want to use any kind of mainstream copyrighted music because no matter how much it's 8-bit or bit crushed or MIDI filed, if the melody is recognizable enough, then it's just gonna get struck. I did the same with Thriller on Halloween. I had like the 8-bit cover of Thriller. Alright, just do tugs. Can it be a MIDI version of that Christmas song? I'm not playing a Christmas song. I could play Bertha again. It is Valentine's Day. I could do something different for Valentine's Day. ToT, do you like being depicted as a wheel with stick arms and legs? I don't think I've ever been depicted as a wheel with stick arms and legs, but you know what? That sounds hilarious. Go for it. I love any depictions of a person, including me, that's just gremlin energy. You get what I mean? Just small, squat, little angry eyebrows ready to cause some mischief. I love those like chibi gremlin energy pictures. I love them. Are you glad that I killed Pemgin? Yes. Stream has some funny moments. Train of thought. If you finish with Bertha, please put the music on Discord. I will. Don't you worry. Oh, goodness, I'm tired. Okay. Let me just stretch. Okay. Is that all the questions everyone's got to ask me for Valentine's Day? Because Valentine's Day will be over in an hour and 20 minutes for me. So if anyone wants to profess their undying and fully committed love to me, by all means. I'm not picky, but preferably you will be a 6 foot tall goth mommy. You know, not picky at all, just you have to be that in order to qualify. I kid. It's what's on the inside that counts. We all know that. Someone's saying... ToT, you are very adequate and tolerable. Thank you, that's the most flattering comment I've had in a long time. Wish you luck with your loneliness. Me too. Say a goofy word, please. I need a word to say to my friend. I love you, you're a huge inspiration. You need a goofy word. When you say a goofy word, do you mean like just a British slang word, or just I make up a word that's goofy for you? Yeah, I can do both. A funny phrase. I can't think of a funny phrase. I'm trying, though. Not a snowflake's chance in hell, but that's kind of not really a funny phrase. You know the saying, is the Pope Catholic? For like, someone's asked a really obvious question, you say, is the Pope Catholic? And then there's, someone asks a really obvious question, well, does a bear shit in the woods? The obvious answer is yes. My favourite mix-up of that is, it's, do Catholics shit in the woods? And are bears Catholic? Because it's just a complete mashup of the two phrases, but they mean the same thing. I love it. Check the censored picture and stream highlights. I know, it's Pemgin. If anything, I should ban you for that. ToT, I love your channel, but I legally cannot love you. Besides, I'm into women. You know what? I respect that. It sucks that if you're in a country that does not allow you to love the same sex, because who cares? It does no harm to anyone. But I respect that you said that you respect me. Thank you. Train of thought, you are my top 5. You are in my top 5 streamer list, and I think you're pretty cool. Oh, I'm the top 5. I'm not number 1. Oh, thanks. I kid. I appreciate your patronage. Thank you very much. ToT's letting the alcohol get to him. It's wearing off. Wagwan Pifting. As far as I'm aware, Wagwan has, like, whatever the British version of the hood is, kind of connotations. Like, it's not a racist thing to say, but it's got, like... It's a cultural thing, from what I understand, so... You could say Wagwan, I guess, but it's a cultural thing. I don't know. I don't say it personally. That tell a lie, I do say it, but in, like, a ironic, white boy saying cool, hip thing kind of way. That's the way I look at it, at least. Okay. Random request, but can you do your Liverpool accent again? You want me to do Liverpool? Or you want me to talk like Michelangelo's? I'm not doing Liverpool. I'm doing more Birmingham than Liverpool. Liverpool's more like Ringo. I'm Ringo. Hello, from Liverpool. I can't do the accent. If you're from Liverpool, I'm sorry. I'm shit at accents. I'm great at accents, but I'm shit at accents. Before I go, can I recommend Liam's Foreign Steam channel? He does great videos on non-British or American steam. It's really interesting. I'll take a look. Dinglewomp, good for you. Bing bangle, that's not a word. I'm fairly certain that's not a word. Hi, Train of Thought, I'm a huge fan. Thank you very much. Oh, Train of Thought, legally it's because I'm a minor, and I'm 99% sure you're an adult. Whoa, okay, don't say you love me. You do not love me. You enjoy my content, but you do not love me. Back off. Piss off. I didn't swear. I don't swear. There are children watching. I don't swear. Train of Thought's never sworn. What the hell are you talking about? ToT, can you say bingle bongle dingle dangle yickety doo yickety da ping pong lippy tappy too-ta? No. What is your opinion on Smirnoff? It's vodka. If you're drinking vodka for the taste, you're drinking it for the wrong reason. You're my #1 streamer if that means anything. Thank you, D-Man. Thank you. ToT, can you give me chocolate? No, it's mine. Bugger off. Train of Thought, you sound like my geography teacher. Well, Sean, maybe if you got your homework done on time. And maybe if you paid attention during my lessons. Yeah, I know you're zoning out. I know you're off imagining your own little fairy tales in your own head. Don't think I don't notice. Teachers notice everything. I'm not actually a geography teacher. I just wanted to see if that would scare the shit out of you. Because there's nothing more terrifying than bumping into your teacher outside of school. I respect you because you talk about trains. Still waiting for you to make a video on LMS Stania. Okay, SOS, SOS, SOS. A lot of SOSs. Why are people saying SOS? He said the Doctor Who thing. I said a lot of Doctor Who things. Can you say gritsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow anti-slip machinery? Sorry, not machinery. It's gritsy bitsy teeny weeny gritsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow anti... I almost had this. Gritsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow anti-slip machine. There you go. ToT, are you a tater tot? No. ToT, when you start the ending music stream, can you throw out an unpopular, controversial opinion you have right before the ending of the stream? Oh, someone, Bean Goods, has posted a picture of the Train of Thought wheel, aka me, as a little gremlin. I love that. Pencil drawings as well, so you know it's good. Thank you. Also, yes, I will end with Big Bertha. If a woodchuck could chuck wood is a tongue twister that asks how much wood a woodchuck is a tongue twister that asks how much wood a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood. But what you're not ready for, you want tongue twisters. I've done this before on stream, and I'm going to do it again. It's going to wow you right now. I am the very model of a modern major general. I have information, vegetable, animal, or mineral. I know the kings of England, and I quote the fights historical from Marathon to Waterloo in orders categorical. I am very well acquainted too with matters mathematical. I understand equations both the simple and quadratical. About my binomial theorem, I am teeming with a lot of news, with many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. I am very good at integral and differential calculus. I know the scientific names of beings and animalculous. In short, in matters vegetable, animal, and mineral, I am the very model of a modern major general. Ooh! I slurred some of the words because I'm drunk, but, you know, modern major general. ToT, I love your content and your channel. It's actually very educational and the only educational videos I actively enjoy watching. Thank you. Also, can I just skip back to the start of the stream? Someone said something. Oh god, it's just gone out my head. I just had it. I enjoy your content. Oh god damn it. There's something I was going to say at the start of the stream, but it's completely gone. Someone asked me a question or said something at the start of the stream and I wanted to go on a tangent, but I forgot it. Oh, botheration. Don't drink while you work, kids. I think that's, this is the lesson to learn. Was it the Hornbeard? It was not the Hornbeard. Was it the Mars thing? It wasn't the Mars thing. Oh, God. Oh, God, it's all falling apart. Oh, God, I'm forgetting everything. It's all falling apart. The world, it's spinning. I'm gonna watch this stream back as well at some point, and the thing I want to know is gonna be there. It's worse because I just had it on the tip of my tongue because I was singing Modern Major General. Oh, I don't know what's going on. D-Man, I work in a factory-like setting with heavy machinery, and there's been some multiple instances of people showing up drunk for some reason. Because you work in an industrial environment. That's just what happens in an industrial environment. No one cares about their safety. You know, you think your teachers ever showed up to school hungover? Because they did. At some point they did. Usually on a Monday or a Friday. I don't know. But it's gone out of my head. I'm forgetting everything. Oh god, I'm confused. It's spinning. The world's going dark. I'm dizzy. My throat is dry. Let's have a drink of water. Ugh. Did you hear that water splash? Oh, what a satisfying noise. Oh god, the music is repeating itself. What a stream, what a Valentine's Day stream. Maybe this is why I'm alone, who knows? Who cares? Have a happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope you have plenty of chocolates. Tell your family and friends you love them. Have a good night.